Making fun of someone with a disability is retarded.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jim, and if you're into EDC goodies, you're in the right place. Today we're going to be taking a look at the knife that you didn't know that you need. This is a brand new offering from Ketuo Knives called the VENTR. I don't know if it's VENTR or VENTR, but I'm going to go with VENTR because if this were to make it into somebody, it's going to vent them pretty well. It's a VENTR. Anyway, this is, in my personal opinion, an absolute work knife. This definitely isn't a high-grade collectible with crazy rare exotic materials. It doesn't have a blade shape that's crazy and, what's the best word? Fanciful, like you may have seen from their brand and some others in the recent past. This is a very straightforward design, sort of a Tanto-ish design, but the overall way that this thing is shaped, the way that it feels, it's almost like you have a folding utility knife, and it just feels like it's made to work. It feels like when you've deployed this thing that it's ready to go and do some hardcore cutting. And if you've been around knives enough, you've collected a lot of different types, you know that there's always that one knife that you pick up and go, this is a workhorse. This is really meant for me to cut shit with. Not just be pocket jewelry, not just be a prop to use for my Instagram posts, but this is something I want to go cut down some boxes and slice into things with. That's exactly what this is. And it's a little bit kind of on the outdoorsy adventure type of design as well. There's no pocket clip, but yet you've got this huge lanyard opening on the back spacer back here, which makes me feel like just tying the biggest knot in the world, throwing a big old lanyard on here, and either hanging it off a carabiner off a backpack, or just dangling it inside my pocket with the lanyard sticking out. It just feels like it's just that grab it and cut with it and throw it back in kind of deal. And I really dig that because there's not a lot of that prevalent in today's tactical style collecting community. You know, we all want something that's, got some character, that's kind of wicked, that's kind of cool, but also is going to be useful and practical. These, I think, are purely made to be practical, but also kind of have this futuristic, industrial kind of look to them that, well, I really kind of enjoy. Now, let's get into the photography and then get down into the tabletop review, get a close-up look at this, and discuss the pros and cons, discuss what things may attract you to it, and what you might actually use it for. All right, some close-up looks at the Ketuo KT VENTR. And not to belabor the point, I know it's something that I brought up in the intro, but in my opinion, this is an all-out work knife or hard-use knife, duty knife. It just looks tough. It looks like a hard worker and has zero extraneous design cues or doodads of any kind. It's just straight to the point. I'm a knife. I cut shit. Let's do this. Now, I tend to favor the orange. I'm not a big G10 fan myself, but one of the few choices in G10 that I like is the cool blaze orange. I've always liked that color. It's bright. You can't miss it. It's like that construction worker on the side of the road. It gives you something to aim for when you're bored on your way into work and you're wondering why they've blocked off traffic at rush hour. It gives you something to aim at. I like it because it's bright. I'm never going to lose it. It's sitting somewhere in the corner of the room. Boom, it's like a beacon of light. Now this is a Linerlock with button actuation. I don't want you to think that this is a button lock. It is not a button lock. You look at it and go,
oh, well, that's a button lock, dummy. There's the button. You press it and unlock. Duh.
Nope. This actually is a liner lock, and you can access the liner lock as well. If you'd prefer to do it the old-fashioned way, you certainly can. Let's give you a close-up here. Zoom in. There is that liner lock. Now, I wanted to call it an inset tab lock, but that is actually part of the entire liner. The difference is it is an inset lock because the entire liner is inset into a pocket milled into the backside of the scale. So it's kind of a hybrid. It's kind of a combination of the two. A normal, let's think of what a normal liner lock would look like. And you would see scale, liner, and then blade in the middle. You don't see the liners exposed. They're hidden away and done very, very nicely. So when I hit this pusher, when I push that button, it disengages the lock for me. And you can see it working from the back side here as well. And there is your detent ball. That's the difference that helps this new wave of liner lock, push button liner lock, released locks. That's why they're becoming so popular, because so many button locks, people don't like that weird feeling of how they open because they don't have that detent feel that they're used to with their liner locks and their frame locks, and they want something that's a bit snappier. These are nice and snappy without being difficult to overcome the detent. They did a fantastic job tuning them. So I can flick with my finger, I can flick with my thumb, I can slow roll with my thumb. And you really can't, I'm sure somebody out there is going to prove me wrong. I cannot front flip it because the jimping doesn't go back here, and the jimping's very smooth anyway. The jimping's kind of not all that great. That's the only negative I have for the entire knife, that the jimping could be a little deeper and a little bit sharper. Now, you might think that not having a pocket clip is going to be a big deal. For me, it's not, because, again, I see this as more of a work knife. This may be sitting in your toolbox. It may be in the center console of your work truck. It may be hanging out in your back pocket with a big, fat, old 550 paracord lanyard hanging off the back of it. So you can just grab it, bring it out, flick it, cut the stuff that you got to cut, and then put it away. As an EDC knife, yes, I would prefer that it had a pocket clip. But I like the knife so much overall that I don't care. I'm okay with that. I really do like this sort of Tanto design they have going on here. This pseudo-futuristic sci-fi Tanto. We'll go with that. Futuristic sci-fi Tanto, that's a thing now. Let's just start writing that every time we refer to a blade shape like this. Now, here are your specs. Total length of 6.9 inches, blade length of 2.8 inches, which means it's going to be legal in most restrictive states. Most restrictive states, they want you to be under 3.5 or under 3-inch blade. I know there are some that are even more restrictive, but this should cover you for probably a good number of states. Please check your state laws. Don't take my advice. I am not an attorney or law enforcement. Your handle length is 4.1 inches, and your blade stock thickness, 120 thousandths of an inch thick. 120 thou is perfect for a knife this size. It's lightweight, but it's not fragile feeling. It's going to be very, very slicey with that full flat grind. It's going to do its job and do it well. It's also not adding a bunch of weight and burdening you with whatever else you have in your pocket. And the blade steel, most importantly, it is 14C28N, which is going to be highly corrosion resistant, be fair to moderate on edge retention. So it's a good EDC steel. It's good for pretty much everything all around. It doesn't excel at having an extremely tough edge. It doesn't excel at having a very long-lasting edge. But it has a good balance of everything that it needs to be for all-around everyday carry. So keep that in mind. All right, that's all my thoughts on the Venter. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm a big fan of Ketuo. Ketuo and Reich are sister companies. They work together. And You guys know the quality coming out of Reich. They're innovative, they've got great designs, and they've learned how to really machine knives so perfectly, execute them so well, that even when you get into a budget offering like this, you're not lacking anything. It's a nice, high-quality knife all the way around. The only other knock I would give it is the fact that it's using steel liners instead of titanium liners, and that's a little bit less premium, and it adds a little bit of extra weight to the knife that titanium would have reduced. But it also helps you keep your wallet a little bit heavier too, because with the steel liners, it's going to be a lot less expensive. So there's always a trade-off, right? Anyway, that's it for me for now, guys. I'll see you on the next video.